it's such a huge pleasure, especially when you have people that you respect so much there with you. It does mean a lot in terms of basically I'm not here to I'm not here really to as someone who is actually just moderating alone. I'm also here in a capacity whereby I'm also a learner. It is such a huge pleasure. And this is not to say that I've had any guests in the past that one did not learn from. The way we usually go for the very, very best. But there's some panelists that come around and it's on another level, and every time I see this panel, and I must say this to you and my members who are here, who are formed, we're going to have just a few of them forming part of the in-house panel. You're actually one of their favorite parents, so for us, it's actually works best when we have the two of you. We've had three as well, there's always this three with you and Prof as well, and but quite a few times I've also had the accusation from Prof that I brought to people to overwhelm him, but of course I've always said again and again, and everybody knows as well that we're super neutral. We just try our best to bring up these issues, the issues that really affect our existence, as Nigerians. And like I said at the beginning, it is such a pleasure, having this panel. We've not had this panel for like I think 6, 7, 8, 9 months. I think, if I'm correct. So it is such a joy. At the risk of repetition, sounding like a broken record, it is such a joy having two of you again. One is someone I've known for about 30 years or thereabout, if I'm correct, and another is one I've known just in the past 1.5 years or thereabout, and it's as if I've known her all along. And one thing struck me with this woman, and she's not about her. And I'm not saying it because we're online. I've never run her before I did this week. And yet I picked up the number. She's a public person, so her number is in the public domain. I picked it from there, and it was so. And I was like, is that it? So simple, so no, you know what? Who's calling? Can you call my secretary? Can you speak with my secretary? Tell my secretary to do this and that. None of that. It's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure. So let's start by first of all introducing the younger comrade, and then in my culture they say it's the big masquerade that dances last. This wonderful guy is like I said earlier, this is someone I've known for at least over 30 years or thereabout. He was an activist, and for me that's one of the reasons why I find it easier to. Of course, it doesn't mean that they cannot be largely activists. You might just have gone through the early part of your life just chilling and coming and then you grew into activism at some point. But this is a guy who was there, we're there at the deep end from the very beginning. Adebayo, this gentleman is a prolific tweeter. At times the name changes depending on the motion on Twitter. At times I think I've seen a Robodo, then I think I saw another one not long ago. But you always find him there, doing the heavy lifting. There is one of those when you're talking about. I have two guests today. When you're talking of the key, the people who really control conversations about Nigeria on Twitter, they actually fall in that category. So he's a prolific tweeter, an ardent social critic. He's an alumnus of Ondo State University, which later became University of Adedosu, but he's now Ekiti State University. Like I said earlier, he was an activist in his university days. He is an ICT sales and management consultant with more than 20 years of progressive working experience. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you Adebayo Adedosu.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me once again here. I think I want to go with a soft title now with age, because comradeship is looking like stupidity in the Nigeria of today. So I'd like to go with Mr. Adebayo Adedosu. the latter day comrades today are actually enemies of the country, and they're very regressive. So I'd like to step out of that.
I like that. Okay, so he's saying, you know what, he's not going to be accepting the comradeship for now, you know, so, and I quite agree with you as well, you know, there are quite a lot of things, you know, they don't bear the names they used to bear in years past, you know, so anyway, you're welcome. Thank you so much for accepting to be part of tonight's webinar. And of course, the second guest speaker for tonight. You know, the one of the first things you know about her, she's of the she carries Ghanaian blood in her veins. You know, so maybe that was explaining to a lot of people. You know, I saw certain things on social media, and I was like, these people do not. Maybe they probably don't understand this woman's background. You know, you cannot be a lion and give birth to a fish. You know, so this is Iyabo Fawehinmi. He's a lawyer over 40 years standing, and she's a developmental stroke management consultant and motivational speaker who's passionate about training and capacity building. She is a podcast host and a public commentator who has authored numerous books. She's a social critic. She's an ardent. You know, she's you know, she calls. I've seen some descriptions that she has descriptions from her. She calls herself. You can probably call her in describing saying, you know, Nigeria's #1 pictures, because she keeps talking about Nigeria. You go like, wow. You know, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome Barrister Mrs. Iyabo Awokoya. Well, she calls herself. She actually has an. Is it informal? She actually took on an name as well. I think I saw that. This is Awokoya. I think there's
Informal.
Informal, so I'm correct. So good to have you. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you very, very much. My pleasure. Okay. I'm happy to be here. I hope we have an engaging time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, and for those those of you who know, those who know some of the plans we're doing the John sometime end of the year, she will also be part of that as well. Because Bayo resides abroad, so we're not expecting to be there, except he's in Nigeria for that period. So tonight's topic is 2023. And the president that Nigeria needs a critical analysis of the political parties and their presidential candidates. 2023 and the president that Nigeria needs a critical analysis of the political parties and their presidential candidates. It goes without saying that, you know, when you go online, you read about the candidates. Of course, you've got Alaji, if they tell them in an arrangement in terms of their ages, you know, the oldest one is Alaji Abubakar, and his vice presidential candidates, you've got Governor Awokoya of Delta State, and of course all the problems coming up in the PDP now, the resignation of Alaji Jibri, the BOT chair, the rumor that Makinde suddenly became the PDP governor's forum chair, and the denial by Aminu Tambuwal, the convention itself, and you know the strange thing about a chairman, national chairman as well, calling someone step down for one candidate, the hero of this, it's just, and then of course you have the APC as well, you have Tinubu, and you have, and of course the Shema challenge is still fresh, and I'm sure this is also a private conference where Shema came without fantastic trainers, and that which is so strange, so, but of course, going back to policy issues, people have said this man is a Boko Haram through and through. People say, of course, people refer to allegations made from by SARS, and I know Sherry back then when we were having their papa and over Shetima, that Shetima called him the father of Boko Haram, he called Shetima the father of Boko Haram, and that Boko Haram people were arrested in his house, and all those things, and all the photos circulating on social media with Shetima eating supposedly Boko Haram people in the bush, and all those things, and of course we are seeing all the issues surrounding him, his age, qualifications, source of his wealth. Every day you read things from the obedience people attacking him, and I also see from Chadboy, brother, he said he is over 70, and that they look at him, and they look at him, they know that Tinubu is not 70, because he challenges like a guy, and of course, you are Reverend always doing the attacks every day you have, and of course you have the interesting man from Kwara, Dino Melai, and of course you now come to Peter Obi, and also Ahmed Dati, proprietor of Base University Abuja, whose father as well, for some of us who know, was nominated as a Boko Haram negotiator back in Jonathan's government, Sheikh Dati, and of course his older brother Hakim Baba Ahmed used to be the permanent secretary of the Foreign Affairs Ministry in Abuja. So there's quite a lot to say, and of course, when we go to Dunobi Kachiku's party, they suspended their presidential candidate, the national chairman is suspended, and of course Kwankwaso is there as well, and Kwankwaso's pastor running it, we saw a video where people were carrying him, all over the church, there's quite a lot. The key thing is about Nigeria, about 2023, about getting it right, about finally, being able to establish Nigeria as the giant of Africa. And I must say this before I hand over to you. Yeah, 2 days ago I was speaking to quite a few friends, and I asked about this friend. I said, I've left this one, I've left this person I left, and I'm like, even when you go to Nigeria, how many people do you really see now? Everybody's gone, because the key right now is Japa. JPA, so how can we, and of course that strike is going on, there's all the problems in the economy, now is almost 800 in the black market against the pound sterling, 700 plus, so cost of food stuff, and I'm also talk about the global dimension. But I'm going to start with Adebayo Adedosu, and today is freestyle. Of course, I might ask you questions at some point, but I will encourage freestyle. Basically, for 2023, what is it that we are expecting? What are we looking for in our candidates? Or is, and let me also ask, is Nigeria broken? If yes, what is broken about it? And then of course later we go to, because everyone was established the sort of candidates that should be able to fix the qualities we're looking for. So is Nigeria broken? What is broken about it? What are the things that need to be put together to mend it? So let's start with you, Adedosu. And if Nigeria is not broken, why is it not broken? Why do you disagree with what others are saying that it is broken? Let's start with Adebayo. Over to you, comrade. So please feel free to take 10 minutes at a time and go through that.
Honestly, I was hoping by some tough luck that you actually start give the button to my big sis first, so I'll have something to click on.
That actually works.
Oh, okay. So let's transfer over to Mrs. Awokoya, then we'll come back to you, Bayo.
Yes, that actually works, Bayo. I think it's fine. So I think I'll start.
Okay.
And what I'll start with is that for people like me who have lived since 1961, just a year after independence, all the drama and the hula baloo, is Nigeria broken, is Nigeria not broken, is nothing new. Had worse situations in fact, Nigeria is not broken. Nigeria is doing quite well. It's a cyclical thing. We've had worse situations. At the time when the military were here and we were Nadeco period and all the rest of it, everybody thought Nigeria was going to be broken. It wasn't broken. So all these things are just what I would call a little bit more stormy than the normal storms. At least with the military, all of us, it was a question of progressives against the military. So we didn't have splinters, you know, we just have people who are oppressing us and people who wanted to wrestle power to install democracies. So that's fine. We're not broken. Then to also add to what I'm saying is that when you talk about the leaders, who is the best person or who is the best fit, I just need to tell you that I have come to this realization, and it's a practical and pragmatic realization, that the president can only come from amongst the people. The president cannot come from Mars or from Rome to come and rule Nigeria. So the president that we're going to have will have all the microcosm of what Nigeria is. In this particular situation, what we have are all the candidates come with their baggage, and that gives me more confidence in selling the candidate that I'm going to recommend, because every single one of them comes with one baggage or the other. You know, I always say that with the PDP candidate, what you have is a clear-cut case of written down, evidenced, documented corruption. And I'm saying it because I'm a lawyer, so you need to know that I'm saying it with full authority of what I know. That one comes with his own baggage that is clear-cut, published by the United States Congress in a public document, and saying you don't show up in this country again because you are this corrupt. In fact, this is the amount of money you took out of Nigeria and buried in all sorts of tax evasion plays and all the rest. So we've got that person on one side, and he's been trying and trying. He too has whatever it is you say Tinubu has. The fellow from PDP is worse, because he has never been in Nigeria where we can even scrutinize him. He lives practically in Dubai. We see him with all sorts of health issues, looking unhealthy at different times. So that one is there. As regards this, what do you call it, person that shows up like a meteor from nowhere with a sing-song voice and a lot of unnecessary drama, I just think that I really don't have much time to waste about that person, because I've tried to give him a lot of room. I've tried to listen to him so as not to be totally biased and just operate from a position of bias. And I just see that all I can see is a Pied Piper of Hamelin, just leading people almost to their detriment. And I think that it just goes to show what we have in form of our youth nowadays, who just don't seem to be deep about anything. Now, when you come to our own president, our own candidate in the APC, I see that there is a lot of fluff and a lot of drama. There's so much that you almost want to say that it seems like people always leave the meat of issues and go after irrelevancies. First and foremost, there are different ways by which you accuse a man of what they've been accusing him. If you accuse him of corruption, you need to actually substantiate that. Like I said, with the other two people, the Peter Obi guy, he also has record of Panama. And when we talk about these Panama things, we're looking at people who have actually reasons to take their money out of Nigeria and hide it somewhere. So when you look at the other candidates from the APC, we don't hear that there's some money hidden in Panama. People say, oh, okay, he's spending so much money, he's this. And all I would have asked is that when you want to be taken seriously, you've had a lot of time to come up with these things. So come up with them and let's examine them. Then when you leave that, you now go to the question of his age. And you say, is it that you say that he's older than what you say? You need to prove it. And when does a candidate become disqualified? Because he's older than 70 or older. Buhari, when he came into power, was definitely older than that. Atiku, his opponent, is older than that. So it just makes, they need to articulate their objection. So when you're talking about age, is it against the law, even if he's not 70, he's 71? First, you need to prove it. Because he who has assets must prove, not the other way. This fellow says, this is how old I am. If you're going to say no, in law, we have what we call, if you want to do an age declaration, you want to swear to an age declaration, it is somebody else that swears to an age declaration on your behalf, not you. Because you can't swear to the date you were born. You were not born, so you can't attest to that. So in law, what we always do is to ask somebody older to depose to an affidavit to say that I was alive at the time this person was born. I know that he was born on so and so date or around this date, because of these circumstances. So if anybody is going to say he's telling a lie about his age, you need to have not Charlie Boy looks young. I mean, those are so asinine kind of statements that are so scientifically silly. When you now start saying, oh, I look older, I'm 61 years old, and a lot of people think I don't look my age, but I know what I am. So if you're going to ask me, you're probably going to say, is she 50, is she 60, if I said I was, so all that unscientific way of saying things is just pointless. So the question is, if you know his age and you say he's lying, then you better prove it. Also, even if you have some classmates that are older, I will have you know that when I was in university, I graduated at the age of 20. Most of my colleagues were 23, 24.
Wow.
So if you even bring my classmates to come and say that we were the same age, we're still not the same age, because I got into university at a very young age. So all these things are why we say law is important. Then the question of a change of name. For crying out loud, if you are going to say a man changed his name, is it a crime? Even if he did, which I'm denying, or even if he did, is it a crime to change your name? I am Mrs. Awokoya. I used to be Fawehinmi, but I was joking with my husband sometime, and I said, if we ever divorce, I am going to stick to that Awokoya name. And he said, why? I said, because I have had more years as Awokoya than Fawehinmi. And that before they call 5 Awokoyas right now, they will call Iyabo Awokoya. So I've earned that name. So if you decide you are going to pick up any name, nobody can tell you not to use the name. So even if you call him whatever at the go of whatever land, it is your headache. You are the one who gave him that name. So come and prove it that is his name. So it's just it's the same thing we went through under Buhari, with people trying to just bring all sorts of things to muddy the waters. It still does not remove the fact that this candidate was selected from amongst a multitude of other candidates by his party. He's the candidate of the APC. And then we now go further into looking at competence, which is all we always talk about. So when you're looking at the 3 people, I don't even want to talk about Obi's lies. That is so confirmed by everybody. So I'm not even going to waste my time talking about that. I'm going to look at them in form of qualifications and the rest of it. On one hand, we had somebody, I'm sorry, I'm very, very elitist in my intellectual thing. I love people who read and who understand issues. I'm not going to be very happy with Peter Obi, who had a pass in philosophy, and then everything he talks about is always container kind of economics. That even somebody like me who didn't study economics will not be talking about it. We're looking at the problems of this country, and we are not at this stage. I don't see an article, I don't see an OB as anywhere near people who can understand what we need to do to go forward. So when you look at all of them, Tinubu still happens to be the only person who I think can take us further. But one thing that I've been cautioning PC people for, and this is where Bayo might want to take me up on it, one thing I've been cautioning him for is that we need everybody to realize that this particular administration of Buhari did one good thing for Nigeria, in that they looked at what was on, Nigerians love this phrase, on ground. I don't like it, but I'm going to say it. They looked at what was, in situ, what they met, and Buhari did not jettison anything. He didn't throw anything away. He decided that, okay, they wanted to do a railway, bring up the plans again, let's move it forward. At Ajaokuta, let's see how we can move it forward. All the airports that are in there, let's see how we can move it forward. The poor, let's see. So I will stand against any candidate who campaigns without talking about where we are and where he's going to take us to. So I'm not going to be happy with any candidate that starts telling us stories. We need a trajectory of continuation, a trajectory of continuity. And this is the only place that I'm going to be against APC if they try to bring out some crazy things that are highfalutin without referring to where we are. And I'll give you an example if I still have time. If you say that the health care of Nigeria, you want to increase the expenditure or whatever, the budget expenditure allocated to health, that's fine by me. But you need to tell me, what is it at right now? What it is achieved? Which one belongs to the federal government? Which one belongs to the state government? Where are you taking it to? This amount of money you need, is it going to be recurrent or capex? Which one is it going to be? And what will it fetch us? I'm going to be scrutinizing every single plan. If you say that you want to do something on education, we have the ASU problem. We need to say, this is where we are, and this is what we're going to do to move the nation forward. So I'm not going to say, oh, we're just starting something new, then you abandon this train in one place, abandon this one in one place, and you start your own. You are free to start something new, but everything must show us where it is. One of our major problems is the question of revenue. We have low revenue, and that is our major problem. So I'll be very, very interested in how we're going to increase revenue, and how we're going to get more people into the tax net, how we're going to get more people into jobs. So when people start laughing about all the things that has been thrown out, like the maize revolution and things like that, and people laughing at a pharmaceutical medicine, I just find that before you open your mouth to talk, you need to go and do a bit of research to see whether that person who said those things was just talking out of turn. I know a lot, but I'd like to yield the floor to Bayo, and then when we come back, I'll come back with some of the things I know about what Tinubu has been able to do and can do. Thank you.
Wow. You know, a firebrand always be a firebrand, you know what? It is. I mean, what better way to set the ball rolling like that? So I'm sure Bayo will be firing on all guns now. And you made mention of very key things. And in saying that, since you've also seem to peel your mask somewhere, and you pitched your tent, and you be very, very clear. And I want to thank you for that, because it makes a lot of sense for all our viewers, all those who are participating in this, to know that there isn't anything on the ground, and then where our analyses are influenced unnecessarily without declaring we have the issue or interest. So you mentioned some very key things which I'm going to come back to, and I'm sure quite a lot of our in-house participants want to ask you certain questions. And I want to encourage those who are on the in-house participants, please use the button, just make sure if you have any question, if you want to ask it properly, use the button to raise your hand. If you don't want to do that, you want to type your question, please, by all means, go ahead, type your question in there, and we're going to take everyone, and we're going to take a few on social media as well. So let me go to Adebayo Adedosu. That same question to you, and of course now have the benefit of this is Iyabo, taking the floor. What, like you say in English, what said thou by?
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Ma. I was right when I said I should yield the floor to you to set the ball rolling and for us to have conflict. It's not out of competition, it's not out of anything, apart from the fact that she's elderly, she's better informed than myself. And she's somebody that I respect her objectivity, whatever I want to say. And it was on that basis that I said she should take the first shot. And I'm glad she did. And she has actually set things in motion. And she has made the job quite easy for me now. I can talk, Eshema. Yes, let's agree on one thing. We are always having fun. Let's agree on one thing. Nigeria is not broken. Nigeria cannot be broken. Whoever persists that Nigeria is broken, check that person very well. That person is broken inside out. I will not stand by anywhere for anybody to say Nigeria is broken. You know me. When it comes to Nigeria, you can trash anything, but you cannot trash Nigeria with me. Because when you point a finger at somebody, you retain 4 fingers to yourself. That simply tells you, before you allege, why don't you search yourself inwards? And a society does not make itself. The country is not an island isolated of people. Nigeria is Nigeria because we have Nigerians, and we need to have Nigerians before we have leadership. So if anybody stands by the maxim that Nigeria is broken, it's simply because that person on his own is a failure. He has failed in his own bit as a Nigerian, and his own life also has taken a bad turn. So let me just put that one out there, and I have no apology for saying that. Honestly, no apology. Okay, and when we're talking about the different candidates we have, I see a lot of jesting in the here these days. So much talking. Please,
yesterday I crashed there. I expect like no one will be
please, I want to ensure that I block everybody that I don't know, because please do not abuse the privilege of having your mics, of you being able to unmute your mic yourself. And I ask everybody, please unmute yourselves. Thank you so much. I'll continue.
Yes, I see a lot of jesting in the political space these days, and it's so funny because we have many political parties, and as such, all kinds of characters are being thrown up and thrown at us, from the serious to the stupidest. And what can we do? We need to hear them out, unfortunately, and they are harassing the airwaves and also trying to harass our sensibilities. I will start by saying one thing. It's so funny when you hear a politician, a candidate, now a presidential candidate, saying if and when elected as president, is going to hand the country over to the youth. Please, on what basis? Because I was on the shower this morning, and I was just wondering, this guy keeps saying he's going to hand Nigeria over to the youth. What is he talking about? Is he saying that people who are of my age or older than my age or even slightly younger than my age are not going to be relevant in the scheme of things? And we know he's trying to pander to a certain demography. And what is it doing? I had an interview in Abuja when I was in Nigeria in July, and one thing I said was, Peter Obi is destroying Nigerian youth with his rhetorics. These are people, children we should be molding, but he's feeding them with junk. He's feeding them with so much lies that have no correlation to the situation where we are today. But they are applauding him because to them he's singing the song they want to dance to. But when you look at the song, what is it? Empty. You know, you can be beating a drum without a rhythm. That is what Peter Obi is doing. I was at his Toronto event here in Canada, and I'm sorry to conclude that it was a town hall meeting of an ethnic group. It was a pure town hall meeting of an ethnic group. Maybe if there were non-Yoruba, non-Igbos there, maybe we'll count for like maybe 4 or 5. There. And from his disposition, he was feeding a demographic bias. He was feeding an ethnic bias towards the nation. The question is, some months ago, this same ethnic group referred to Nigeria to my ethnic group as Fulani slaves. This same ethnic group refer to ourselves as cows. What has changed? What has changed? Why the sudden love for Nigeria? Way back in 2019, we were telling them, if you wanted presidency, start the preparation now. But they said to us, to hell with you and your presidency. We want Biafra. What has happened to that agitation? These people see this electioneering season as an opportunity to snatch Nigeria and deal in court with Yorubas and the Hausas. To them, that is why they say some part of Nigeria are no man's land. That is an insult on anybody. When you claim that my homeland is a no man's land. And they go about harassing people. The moment you don't agree with them, you see that heads mentality of attack. You see that swarming at you like bees. But that does not stop some of us from telling them they were just on the white goose chase that will lead nowhere. I'll pack Obi for now and talk about other things. When we're talking about this political situation now, there's so much bigotry and hypocrisy in the here. Even I laugh the kind of support people who are, everybody's free to support whoever they want to support. But I'm a man of history and I follow historical antecedents. When somebody says he wants to do something for you, the first thing you ask is, what have you done for yourself? Because Yoruba will say, you cannot say you want to sew me a beautiful garment, a beautiful outfit, and you're wearing rags. It simply means you don't have the pedigree. And I'm glad that Mrs. Awokoya pointed that out. We need to talk about what has been done, who has done, and not what I will do. I made an analogy on Twitter this week that when you apply for a job and you are called for an interview, they want to review your work job history, what you have done in your previous employment, because from the previous employment. And if you claim previous experience from previous employment, then you need to relate the experience from your previous employer to the job you're applying to. But that is not what we're saying. It is a case of I will. I don't gel with I will. Because you need to come out in clear terms to relate to what you are able to do when you held similar position. That has not happened. But They said they like that, they don't care. And this is, I'll also make a quick allusion to him a bit. The issue of NSAS, that's not going to go away with me. The federal government asked every state of the federation to institute NSAS investigative panel on the activities of SARS. And of course, to the glory of God, Lagos State did very well. Lagos is about the only state in the country that actually did something that we can see openly. It's as if everybody paid attention to Lagos, everybody focused on Lagos. Why Lagos all the time? Why? Now, we have the worst SARS history in Nigeria, in Anambra, under Peter Obi's watch. The Akuzu. What happened that time? The NSAS panel invited him as part of the investigation. This is not a criminal investigation. This is an advisory panel, and he made sure it did not appear. Somebody who could not uphold the law at that level is the same person that would uphold the Constitution. If it could not uphold the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria, after it didn't have immunity, but used the instrumentality of the law to subvert the cause of justice, that tells the story. I'm not going to focus on article, but I have a concerning article. All the problems PDP is having is not new to me. APC has had its own, and there are still some wranglings at state level, at world levels in APC as well. And I'm not even going to talk about AAC or whatever they call themselves. We know they are just a bunch of jokers and a bunch of renegades. So those are immaterial, they are inconsequential to me. But the silence of Atiku and his camp is worrisome. And when I say worrisome, we know the stunts Atiku and PDP tried to pull in 2019 with the INEC server. Please, that is not going away. Don't let us think it's going away. People are happy that Buhari signed the new electoral bill and all that without knowing the content of the electoral bill. And I laugh. And this is something I want Mr. Awokoya to educate us on. Because they are taking electronic transmission of results to mean electronic voting. Nigeria is not doing electronic voting. Let's get that one clear. And electronic transmission of results is not foolproof. Because there will be instances where you don't have network connectivity, internet connectivity. You are still going to transmit it through manual process. And I had an experience. I was in Nigeria during the Osun election. I was in Osun State all through the election. For 15 minutes, INEC server went down. By the time it came back up, PDP was leading by 18,000 votes. The period it went down, how are they able to upload those results? What happened within those periods? And we have it on record that INEC chairman himself said INEC was their portal was hacked, and they were voting taking place in Egbe till 9:15 p.m. on that Saturday. And people don't look at one thing. We have the so-called beavers. Are you aware that these beavers is easy to be manipulated? And I'll explain it to you in clear terms. Because when we are looking at something, let us look at the system, the infrastructure in place. Because you can have a law and not have the infrastructure to back it up or to make that law to be effective. The law is to make the process effective, but you have people who are inside of the system actually working against the system. I'll tell you, the beavers, the way it works is that when you get to your polling unit and your thumbprint that is checked is not being pulled from a central server. The night before the election, they upload the data for every polling unit. Because when you're going to register for voting, you register at a polling unit. So the segmentation of the data is done according to polling unit. So polling unit 1, 2, 3, 4, and I registered at polling unit 1. It simply means my data that was captured is only stored for polling unit 1 of Ayedade local government, or whatever word you want to, or whatever word it is. In polling unit 2, I can go over to polling unit 3 again and register as well, because the records are not interacting. They are not cross-referenced. I'm an IT consultant, for heaven's sake. I'm a biometric consultant. The moment you put in your biometric, it should flag any application. That is not the way this BVAS is structured. The BVAS is only set up according to polling unit. And now INEC is saying that they have multiple registration by individuals. That tells you a story about voting. That tells you a story about ability to swing the election. And that's what happened in Ede. After some people have already voted in some polling units, they were moved to other polling units to vote. And all you need to do is to program, okay, we have 900 people registered for this polling unit, 806 initially, before 4 o'clock, 500 people were accredited to vote. But you now see that you have a gap that you need to make up. All you need to do with INEC is to connect with INEC, reprogram it, because the data has not been sent to the INEC server. Reprogram it to 800. Now you have a difference of 300 votes that you need to account for. That is what is going on, and people don't know this. I've taken time. I'm working on a project concerning polling units and BVAS. Okay. I'm going to come up with a position paper on this issue. It is serious, worse than we think it is. But hey, whatever the case is, we know that in Osun State. Let's move on. Let's move on with that. And I'll quickly touch on the issue of JAPA. When we're talking about JAPA, it's not a new thing. Okay. Every generation has its own JAPA syndrome. In the early 90s, we had what was called Oriolo. That was before Nigeria started using the e-passport. In those days, you can superimpose another person's image on a Nigerian passport because the visa at that time did not contain people's pictures. But now that technology has advanced, things have improved, people are no longer able to do Oriolori. So Oriolori was another JAPA syndrome in the 90s. From 1990 to 1994 or 95, that was JAPA as well. And relocation, traveling abroad, is not new to mankind. It's simply because we have technology to amplify it now. In UK, you have Germans who cross from Germany to come and live in the UK to work in the UK. In Canada, I have Americans who relocated to Canada and are living and working in Canada. What are we going to say about those ones as well? So this is not a new phenomenon. The only problem I have with this JAPA thing is, if you must JAPA, JAPA legit. Don't JAPA and give Nigeria a bad name. I'm exposed to the shenanigans of Nigerians with immigration and the nonsense we do that are now denying other people, genuine travelers, the opportunity to actually travel. When you ask these people who want to JAPA, what do you want to go and do? They will tell you, when I get there, I'll know what I will do. How can you say when you get there, you know what you're going to do? That tells you something. That tells you something already. And another way, I just wanted to deal with that quickly because I know my sister is gearing up and I want to give the floor to her.
I need to go to
another thing concerning continuity. We know that government is a continuum. And I don't see how Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will separate himself from the government of Buhari. When I say separate himself, that the programs being executed by this government, please, because when Buhari came in, he identified all the uncompleted projects and it took them over. He did not start his own project just willingly. Otherwise, we won't have all these work children, all these damaged children saying, oh, PDP started it. And there is this slang we say, you may have aroma starting and not have aroma finishing. That doesn't give you any credit. Because even the Bible does not credit you for starting, the Bible will only credit you for ending well. So, and I believe that there's going to be synergy. There's going to be an interplay of policies that will be harmonized and next. It's not going to be throwing the backwater away. What's there to throw away? Let's start with every FPC member is a part of this government. Let's get that. Let's put that out now. Every APC member is a part of this government. So we identify whatever. Well, congratulations, Fawehinmi. This government lacks something, which I'm going to address. Buhari government lacks media engagement, citizen engagement. That is why some people can be loud and be saying that Buhari is the worst. Buhari government is the worst we have had. But because they lack sense of history, they always forget too soon where they are coming from. And when you forget where you're coming from, you actually lose focus of where you're going, because you are already serenaded by the past that has really blinded you. Say what you will. We are not where we may want to be, but we are not where we used to be for good. Let's look at infrastructure. Gone are the days when Nigeria was borrowing money to pay ordinary salaries, when crude oil was being sold for $120 per barrel, and you are telling me why is the worst government? Check yourself out, please. I'll submit you now.
Oh my God! I really jump in. I just give you 1 minute. It's that's bad for you. And I mean, some people want to just join today. Like, what is going on here? But you know what? Look, at the end of the day, this is what you bring Mrs. Awokoya and Adebayo Adedosu on. There's no holds back when you used to their style. So, and of course, there's been quite a few, and I really appreciate that Adebayo actually did mention. Let's just read the comments before we go on to Mrs. Awokoya. There's so much for us to say as well, so I just don't want to take much time. Buhari is the worst we ever had. I pray that Buhari never happens to us again and ever and again. And I strongly applaud his personal capacity to deliver. But governing Nigeria is a complex system. So I think essentially saying that you cannot govern a complex entity like Nigeria. We got more promises in 2014 to 2015, but here we are talking about today. And of course, Usman Okonuga did respond. He isn't perfect, just like myself and any other. He's human, but for now, I think we can bank on his track record. Please don't forget that this is not about Tinubu, it's about all the presidential candidates. We have to maybe Kachiko. There's so many of them out there. I've seen people blaming for Buhari's ineptitude or failure, but he isn't the president. He also bears the burden of leadership. Then, of course, I think he's the president of the Wesley Boys Association, Wesley College. So your points are very well accurate. Now I don't know who he was referring to there, because there were two comments up and so your points are very accurate. And of course, Alani did post some links, statehouse.gov.ng, completed President Buhari's ongoing and completed infrastructure projects and policy successes in Southeast Nigeria. And of course, administration projects, and then of course, Lukman becoming annihilated. Buhari government is not doing well. I love the fact that there's so many different views on this. And of course, Usman Okonuga came in. Nothing will actually call Buhari Passman. His government has dealt a great blow on Nigeria. His media guys are trying. Buhari is very difficult to manage. And Mudaja should be coming. These are a few of what Buhari government has done. Obviously, referring to the links. And what I saying, I will share this scorecard of Buhari government on security, healthcare, people are bombarded even as I'm reading, so maybe I will stop at the point. We'll come back to them later again. I will share this scorecard of Buhari government on security, healthcare, education, GDP growth, foreign reserves, unemployment and debt burden. And of course, it's always a pleasure listening to Awokoya. Wow, so apparently he knows Barrister. So even the platform that brought him to power is destroying it, referring to the APC, I believe. APC went as an orphan to Osun election and it was widely failed. Apologies. This is actually the PLIDE coordinator in Oyo State, Okonoga. My apologies because I saw the HT. I should have just taken the T to know Okonoga. Thank you so much for correcting me. The just came in. It is sad to read on the grateful Nigerians claiming Buhari was president. Anyone who is logical and has an open mind to read the best president to ever be. I'm reading this, you know what I'm saying, and thank you so much for that. We need to understand what Nigeria was and where we are now. A lot of work is being done, but the rust is deep. And of course, when I look back again, high price of commodities, Nigerians are really hungry under Buhari's leadership. And of course, riding that road, prices are high everywhere in the world, United Kingdom, United States of America. That's not the way. The views are different from everybody, and I appreciate you. Please keep them coming. We'll read all of them, and if you have questions, raise your hand. And of course, Bolawan Utubo, it is a global thing referring to inflation. You know, the prices of commodities. It is a global thing. Thank you, Bolawan Utubo. And of course, if you came again now, we are largely unpatriotic and ungrateful people to fellow citizens. The people who are only talking about food are obviously a liability to Nigeria. Things are expensive worldwide. Read and open your mind. And Adebayo Adedosu, at the point, the leader of petrol in Canada was $2. You need to have an understanding of global economy. I'll draw a line at this point, and then we'll go over to Mrs. Awokoya.
Yes, thank you very, very much. And the comments are really quite interesting because it's the same things that Nigerians are saying that they have been saying for almost 8 years. We are hungry. Buhari is bad. Buhari is this. Buhari is that. It hasn't really changed. And what it means to me is that people are not being objective. It is very, very irritating to just have people repeat the same mantra and refuse to shift from that position despite what they see. And they insist on all these things that just don't make sense. Let me say something. President Buhari is the only administration, along with his VP, for a very long time since I have been a Nigerian, that actually goes deep into problem solving. That's why a lot of these things take time to actually generate, because they go deep down into the root causes of problems and they try to make sure that they solve it. Let's look at one of the misconceptions that Nigerians have, a lot of ignorance. Nigerians focus on the federal government as if the federal government is a unitary government, as if the federal government is supposed to deliver healthcare to the states at the primary level, at the secondary level, and at the tertiary level. They expect the federal government to be the one to feed them. Most of the time in my growing up years, when economists were pontificating during the military, all of us kept hearing the phrases like a private sector-led economy, a private sector-led economy. That's what everybody kept saying. Government should take his hands away from anything and leave it to the private sector. Now the private sector in Nigeria is not coping as well as it should be coping. We are now back again to wanting government to have its hands in everything. Now there are 3 levels of government, and people are making a mistake in that. The federal government does not control everything that relates to their life. The federal government does not own land. It doesn't own land apart from the land that is allocated to it at the FCT. The Land Use Act situates land with the governors. It is the governors that have control of lands. So if agriculture is going to be something that will be developed. The federal government can only facilitate, help them in policy. The federal government cannot start setting up farms and start building and start growing rice. It doesn't have land, and that's why the federal government works through the states. The anchor borrowers thing was through the states. A lot of the states, despite the fact that the federal government did not discriminate against party lines, a lot of the states refused to get on board. Every single thing this government tries to do to go to the root causes of issues and solve it, like the livestock transformation plan, people will fight it and say, no, we don't want it. You want to take our land, you want to give it to Fulani. How do you deal with a bunch of ignorant people and who are so obdurate in their ignorance that no matter what you say to them, they just refuse to even, and these are one of the things that upset me so much. Intelligent, so-called intelligent, educated people will not listen. You try to tell them the things they will not accept. How on earth can anybody come up and say Buhari is the worst government that they have had? How on earth? This is somebody who has looked at Itape, a train that was there abandoned, doing nothing. The tracks were laid, all tracks, doing nothing, and they resuscitate Warri to Itape. Now they are going to join that to Abuja. A lot of people are going by that. That particular Itape train is moving around pipes, oil pipes, that used to take them years, almost months by road, is moving it. A train station starts from the line starts from Apapa Wharf. It's going to be able to move it straight into Abeokuta to Ibadan. And everybody is saying Buhari is your worst administration. That is terrible. Let's go to security that somebody mentioned. When Buhari came in, the only security issue we had was Boko Haram. And we all know that Boko Haram has been dealt with seriously. Unless anyone wants to lie to himself, and that will be very, very sad. You can fault Buhari for a lot more things, but you can't say on security that he hasn't done anything or he hasn't done marvelously well. Boko Haram has been dealt a severe blow. They are not occupying anywhere in Nigeria. Every nation knows that security situations are going to be coming up. When I was much younger, Bomo were there, but we didn't have sophisticated telecommunication system in which people will now start kidnapping for ransom. They were kidnapping in those days for juju, but now they are kidnapping for ransom. And it's not a Lagos thing. It's not an Abuja thing. It is all over Nigeria. And the state governors are there as the chief security officer of their states. Why on earth will you now set up a blame culture on just Buhari? What can he do? Can he wear his 13 and start riding a horse and going around all the states to try and be mopping up? Then a lot of people do not interrogate issues. Buhari told everybody, he said there is a security architecture that was in existence, and he told all the state governors to go back and set up, resuscitate the security architecture where communities were the ones who alerted the police of new people, of all sorts of things happening in that place. Local government councils, get your security architecture there. CDAs, Community Development Association, get them operating. How on earth do you want Buhari to enforce community security associations when the states control the states, their activity? How can we do it? Now we have another system. We have banditry. A lot of us do not know that the United States of America put some clocks in the use of, some restrictions in the use of the Super Tucano. We could only use the Super Tucanos against people who are classified as terrorists. And bandits did not have an organization. Boko Haram had an organization. United States classified Boko Haram as terrorists. But how do you classify bandits as terrorists when they had no organization? They were just coming in ragtag, coming in to attack. So it took a long while for the federal government of Nigeria to get it into the court to declare bandits as terrorists. When that was done, that That's when we were allowed to use the Super Tucano. And that is what is happening now, that we can see that the military is doing a lot and getting a lot in dealing with the bandits. All security problems will be addressed. But most of us, we do not know the issues. We just go on an emotional tirade and say, no, he's not doing anything. And then a lot of people say things that are so funny, like thinking Shetima is...
hold on, just a moment for me. I want to educate us a bit, because I see a lot of ignorance on the side of Nigerians as to the setting up of how a government is set up in the presidential system of government. We all know today that the Nigerian educational system is terrible. And I say this with all sincerity and pain. I was talking to some undergraduates over the week on Friday. One of them is a Part 3 law student. The other is a Part 3 sociology student in OAU. I asked them what year was Buhari's first incursion into governance overthrown. They didn't know. They did not know. I asked them, when do we change from spending pounds to naira? They could not tell me. I'll put that one aside. Let's put that one aside. Now let's talk about presidential system of government. A lot of Nigerians don't understand that under the presidential system of government, we have 3 tiers of government and we have 3 arms of government. The 3 tiers of government are federal, state, and the local government. The local government has responsibility for primary health care and primary education. The state government has responsibility for upgraded health care as well as secondary education. If they decide to take a foray into university education, all well and good. And we also have the list, the concurrent, the exclusive list, concurrent list, and the residual list. People don't understand that in the presidential system of government, they use military activity, because the military system of government that some of them had the opportunity to experience have actually bastardized their thinking and their knowledge about government entirely. That is why they'll come and say that the federal government is 100% responsible for insecurity in the country. We have state governments who are the chief security officers of their state, and they have security votes. How often do you ask them how they manage their security votes?
Absolutely. Okay.
How often do you ask them?
Let me continue.
Thank you, ma'am.
Let me continue, because there's still some little things I want to actually address, since we have a forum where we can actually speak up. You know, so to me, yes, to me, it's just a question of we need to actually appreciate what is being done. We have had so much problems in which a lot of people just don't even have a clue. I'm going to talk again about what Bayo talked about concerning Japa. I have a different view concerning this Japa thing. I want as many young people who want to leave Nigeria to go. There is no point you having people in the country that believe they don't have opportunities and we don't allow them to seek. It is when they are young that they can actually seek for opportunities elsewhere.
Hello, Mrs. Awokoya. Please unmute yourself.
Okay, so anybody, like I said, anybody who wants to go out of the country, I think we should allow people to freely migrate out. There's no point having people here who are miserable and they are abusing Nigeria daily. If they feel that Nigeria is not giving them enough opportunities, they should be allowed to go. What it does to Nigeria is that the people who remain will be committed to making this nation better, because to make Nigeria better, it's going to need a lot of sacrifices. A lot. People have to stop their entitled view about things. You can't expect, we did not grow up thinking the government of Nigeria owed us anything. We didn't. We actually knew that we had to struggle for every single thing we had. I didn't come from a poor family, but yet the family that I came from, we were all taught to work extremely hard, both at your school and at home. Most of the time when a lot of people see me working at home, they keep wondering, did I work for somebody as a house help? There's nothing I don't do. I have fish, I have poultry, I write reports, I'm an intellectual, I'm a development consultant, I write reports. Sometimes my brain is almost aching when I'm writing reports. So I don't have a problem with people going. My father jackpot in the 1956, and he met my mother in England where they got married. So going abroad is nothing new. People should go. I will even expect the government to set up a department where they can actually facilitate. Nigeria is still not the person that is still not the nation with the highest volume or percentage per population of people japaing. So we are just a lot of dramatists when it comes to this question of japa. It's not big deal. Let people go. We will end that diaspora fund. People like all of you are there now. Bayo will send us money. We will end diaspora fund. So I don't have a problem with people going. So let us not. The other thing I want to talk about that I think we need to also address is the question of youth involvement. I am actually happy at what has happened with obedience on one point, because the youth, we have been encouraging the youth to get out and participate. They are now coming out. I am so sad that if people had listened to advice by people like me, giving at a lot of aid to APC people almost like 2 years, 3 years ago, we won't even be having this problem, because I've been asking that we should have youth assemblies all over the local governments. At the time when the vice president was doing a lot of the things, I even advocated that the vice president and Fashola should be allowed to go into universities to go and get this youth, tell them what APC is doing, register them. This didn't happen. We can't continue to take our youth for granted. If you look at the population pyramid of Nigeria, you will see that people like me are extinct. We're going extinct. The pyramid is more between the 18 to 50. That is the way the population is. And it is not too late. I don't go around wanting to abuse this youth, because they just need somewhere to vent. It's like what happened in NSAS. So it is time for APC to begin to organize as a party this kind of forum. I don't know. If you look at the woman leader, she's already doing a lot on her own, engaging, using her help. APC, whoever it is, not even the youth leader, some youthful adults there should be engaged to go and talk to youth. Get them in. They need an alternative. If you get them and you can still convince them of what this is, then nothing is lost. So I like what is happening, because the youth in Nigeria have to actually take things into their hands to try and change. So I'm not going to abuse them. They don't know otherwise. That's why they are following after a white papa that is just blowing from trumpet. So I think that is something that I think all the other parties should take a cue from and actually engage these youth. Do their programs, youth assembly. Let's find out what they want. A lot of them don't even know what is available, because their smartphones are not used for smart research. So they don't even know what is available. We have to allow them to learn what is available. Then somebody talked about Buhari having a poor media, whatever. Again, I used to agree at the beginning, but I refuse again to buy it. Every citizen of Nigeria should be engaged in governance. I always say that we cannot all be engaged in government, but we owe it to ourselves to be in a part of governance. How can you not know what is happening in your own country? How can you criticize a government when you don't know what it is doing? We owe it to ourselves. People will say, oh, I cannot watch Arise, I cannot watch MTA. Yes, but can't you see the logic of what the government is saying? That I cannot be wasting. We want the government to lower its expenditure. Yet we want the government to be the one that will fund a private media organization. When the government has its own media organization, But we citizens, we refuse to watch all NTAs that are in every state, that they hook up, even if it is all you do is watch it at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock news, network news. You owe yourself that governance responsibility to know what is happening in your country. You cannot expect government to go and be paying Arise TV, pay TVC, pay channels to air their views. If they cannot make money from their own business, that is their headache. And then how come you all hear bad news? How come people hear bad news from all sorts, but they will not hear the good news? So it is a question of selective hearing. That's what I believe. Tolu, you meet people on social media. Tolu Ogunes is there on social media. Ajuri Agungelele is going everywhere. The federal government has its own Twitter, Facebook, everything. It is us who do not want. How come people like me know everything? I don't work for government, but I know all that the government is doing on policy. So many changes in policy. The government of Nigeria said, the federal government did an executive order and said it was going to give all local governments its money, their allocation directly. 36 state governors united across party lines to go to court to stop that. So who is the one that is causing problem? A federal government that wants money to go into the nooks and crannies of Nigeria so that the local governments can do their work, and the state governments are blocking it. They wanted, the federal government again said, give the judiciary its own money. The state governments were fighting. Give the national houses of assembly their money. Most of us do not know that there has been a lot of constitutional amendments that the National Assembly has passed. State police, NEPA, removing electricity from exclusive list so that it can become, any state can generate electricity. But where are those bills? We need 2/3 assent from all the 36 houses of assembly, which means we need at least 24 houses of assembly to ratify those amendments. Nobody is asking them. That thing is with the 36 houses of assembly. I think it's only Lagos that is debating one or two. Nobody is talking about it. How will we move forward when we keep blaming the federal government and we don't look at the state governors that are causing most of the problems? Like I was saying, agree. State governments are the ones with the land, yet they will not do it. Federal government again came up with anchor borrowers program to encourage farming. But if you don't have states, all the states want is the loan from the CBN. So as to convert it, the states that are doing well in the rice guinea are the northern states, and I think Ebonyi, who happens to be somebody who usually supports president's project. Then on the question of school feeding, what is Buhari's problem in feeding schools? It is not in his own, it's not his duty to even do primary education and secondary. Primary education belongs to the local government, secondary education belongs to the states. All the federal government is supposed to do is policy. Now, when the federal government now says we have school enrollment problem, there is a low enrollment, out of school children are too many. Let us do something that is a nexus program to encourage children to go back to school, and it starts with the school feeding. Everybody screams, why are they wasting our money? Why this? Not knowing that the federal government is trying to help all the states to get children into school. When children eat 1 meal a day, at least you are sure that they have got some protein into their system. When they get protein into their system, we will have a lot of dumb people when they grow old, because protein is good for children to develop their brain cells. So when the federal government is doing all this and people are complaining and criticizing, that's why I said there's a lot of ignorance around, and it makes people like me to be frustrated, because it is after the president has left, and that's why I'm so particular that anybody who is taking over has to take a lot of these things in his stride and continue. Look at the conditional transfer. How many governments in Nigeria has ever looked at the poor in this way to give them 5,000? People are complaining 5,000 is too low. What will that do? That is for educated people like you. People in the village have not counted 5,000 for a long time in their life. When they started this program, people were bringing Ghana must go back, even in the east, thinking that 5,000 was so much that they will need a Ghana must go back to come and collect it. We are talking of poverty and people are scorning 5,000. Which other administration has done such a thing? I will leave it at this point. Thank you.
Oh my God! Look. Usually with two of you, it's always the case that eventually we start talking of a formula, and because obviously time is really a challenge here, and because we've got a lot of, and I know you're ready to go as well. But let me go back again into the chat before I will bring Brian back. Let me go back to the chat. Let me see now. So please just be prepared. Where did we stop the last time? There's been quite a lot more since the last time. Okay. Wow, there's been quite a lot. Don't go through everything. Everybody will have to say on this. Okay. I think when we stopped was when we had towards at the point petrol in Canada was $2. You need to have an understanding of the global economy, and because Lukman followed up by asking, what do they have access to in the US from their government? I believe he's talking about welfare interventions, and what do we have access to in Nigeria in terms of welfare intervention? And of course, wow, and then who should deliver healthcare, please? That is asking that question, and I really have that as well. In terms of education, just 1 minute, so that's it. In terms of education, health system, security, etc. And then Adebayo went on to comment and to say, well, what do you think Americans have access to that is not paid for? That's a question. How many Nigerians pay taxes? Healthcare is only commercialized in America just for you to know. So healthcare is fully commercialized in America just for you to know and get your facts right. Time when enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Farmers cannot go to the farm. That etc. And again, I tax from all angles without getting anything in return as citizens. I believe that's a repost to what Bayo wrote about things being paid for in America. If he came and said, ask yourselves, what value are you added to Nigeria? Every day, and rate yourself. What value are you added to Nigeria every day? And rate yourself before denigrating Nigeria. If most Nigerians decide to be what magic are you expecting from the government? Nigerians will do the same jobs. They can't do back home when they go abroad. People even understand how economies are built. They just want free stuff handed to them. And Fawehinmi rather than throwing stones at one another. This is more conciliatory. And look forward to comparative analysis of Buhari's government on those indices previously stated above. That is healthcare, unemployment, security, education, inflation, GDP growth, and debt burden under the purview of the federal government. And of course, Adebayo Adedosu came in again. What are state governments doing about security in their states? What are they doing with their security votes? Don't talk simply because you are in opposition. Then how will anyone compare America to Nigeria? And then now you don't want to compare after your failed attempt of us getting interesting at this point. Even more, give me a break. And then I used to Ibadan every time I'm going to Ibadan. If he came on, power has improved significantly. And you are now asking how they can reduce their loan and electricity bills. But unpatriotic citizens are looking away. The military has been decimating terrorists, bandits and kidnappers. They're looking away because they like to fry on bad news. Fawehinmi Road was done by Buhari, in 16 years of PDP, it was a disaster to use that road. Came in, I don't think so, man. I don't know exactly what she objected to it. Maybe you can explain in more detail. Go and check my records right from the State University that was taking, going back to his own higher institution. And the reality is always on the side of the masses. Give us facts and figures to go right, not attacking individuals. We're all entitled to our opinions. Of course, Iyabo said that, and Bayo also said that as well. That we're all entitled to our opinions. And if I can share the 73-page documents on the wings of this government, if the usual suspects are willing to read and be grateful, please, I will really appreciate that. I will put my email, my official email in the chat. Please just send it, and I'll share it with our members. We really appreciate that. Then all I need is that you really terminate into a pop-up and we take trucking off our roads. Apparently you do so. And not only documents, but the positive effect on the masses. And of course, I put a link in www.insider.com, number of mass shootings in America this year, 2022. And then of course, the major issue is people don't even understand the types of government, separation of powers and process liabilities came in at the point when trying to make that clarification, and Iyabo was talking about federalism and separation of powers between the various arms and spheres of governance in Nigeria. Then they feed on the WhatsApp junks and form an opinion they arrogantly display in public space. It is pathetic to the fellow citizens, to people who are patriotic beneath you. That look if Nigeria was working, a massive fulfilling. No one can get Fashola government in Lagos because of what everybody saw. Now Adebayo Adedosu as governor of Anambra. He didn't conduct any local government elections. Tinubu created more CDAs. Olusegun Obasanjo PDP without funds from him and Lagos State. Shola Nigerians should be termed as ungrateful, unpatriotic, or shallow-minded for expressing their divergent views. Intellectuals engaged and convinced of empirical facts. We should be civil and not told the same path as the obedient who are tolerant and intolerant and recalcitrant. How much did PDP spend on power in 16 years? Now we can talk of 18 to 23 hours of electricity depending on where you live in Lagos. Then Obi is only playing to the gallery and Obi is only playing to the gallery and I don't take it serious. How much did we spend on those that were only seen on paper? This is the first comment from the gentleman here. Thank you, Barrister Iyabo and Adebayo. I think some of these issues are opinionated. On security, I will compliment the effort of Buhari's administration, but I will still condemn the effort of the administration as regards to communication, body language, such as when Nigerians were crying over the rising security situation in Nigeria as regards to herdsmen and many of them caught with guns. Thank you so much, Olaide, for being part of the conversation. I 18 to 20 hours of life. Where? So it's questioning the person who said it's now 18 to 23. So now, if he came in, ask them who their House of Assembly, House of Reps, and Senators and you will meet with silence. Ask who their local government chairman or councillors and you will be dazed. Ask who is responsible for the road to their house and its state, and you will hear silence as their response. All eyes are worried because the people leading them astray they don't know and would not read. Now, I responded to the question about where you get the 18 to 23 hours of electricity and judgment in Surulere, in Magodo, he said it's maybe 18 hours, and in Magodo they have 23 hours. That's how people shouldn't even talk about the PDP as an option. They formed the ground for today's failures. Electricity where some places definitely said in some places yes, but in a lot of places electricity is not functional or not good enough. If you came on the ground, it is a statement of fact. If you're ungrateful, it is absolutely a description of you based on what you have showed us. PLIDE Lukman Road. I can tell you my local government chairman, including my House of Assembly member, and House of Reps members, if you want among some grand jury elections. Bolawan Okutubo came and said, well said, we don't know what that was, maybe when Mrs. Awokoya was talking. And if you're being chairman, I'll just stop a bit now. I'll come back to it because we need to continue the conversation. Let me just quickly read 3 more and then we need to quickly go to the next person. And don't worry, all your comments will be read. Even if it's at the end of the program, every comment will be read. Please feel free to make them. And then if you being shallow-minded is a reflection of what you have showed us. Anyone who depends on WhatsApp updates, which are mostly fake, is shallow-minded. Bolawan, you have to work. Wanting people and abusing people for burying their opinions. I know your opinion should be addressed and stop. That was to me convenient. Okay. That breast of all this is flowing like a river. But that's fine, let's keep it up. We will talk about it. Now, I can even tell you that 5 out of my 7 councillors. Fantastic. Fawehinmi, please answer and convince us based on facts on Buhari's achievements on security, unemployment, inflation, GDP growth, foreign reserves, education, debt burden, health and healthcare. Let's get ourselves based on facts and figures rather than emotions. And someone who are not better than Obi himself. Streets are filled with someone who go to Ibadan. Streets are filled with potholes and the government is building parks. And there's also and then there's more potholes in Ogun than Oyo. I see no sincerity analysis there. And of course, I just want to finish this Oyo bus like we call it on the street. Leave Ogun, that's Ogun doesn't have a governor. Unfortunately, there's no alternative. Wow. And Olani Mudajiro, I was in Abeokuta yesterday. Can't mention where the potholes are in Ogun State. What are your own governors doing? You know what? So I already to start the next one. But as Bayo comes in now, let's start with this question to sense to and I'm sure if I go further down, if he would have responded to it. But let me this is from Fawehinmi. Please answer and convince us based on facts on Buhari's achievements on security, employment, inflation, GDP growth, foreign reserves, education, external and internal debt burden, and healthcare. Adedosu, over to you.
Thank you very much. It's so funny when people try to play the victim card. I've read all the comments, back and forth exchanges, but like Ife said, I'll put it this way: patriotism is not negotiable. That is the least commitment you owe your country. Your patriotism is not premised on the foundation of what your country does for you or what you get from your country. It is your mandatory social contract with the state. So when somebody points out that there are cases of patriotic acts by some Nigerians, it is an observation. And somebody who is unpatriotic will definitely be ungrateful with the little things that are going on around within the system. That's just to clear the air on that. And that is not trying to demean everybody, because we have instances of other people describing others who don't deal with them or they don't deal with in such with such beautiful adjectives in quotes, So let us take this. Nothing is personal here. My brother Sunday will tell you that after all said and done, we are all coming back to smile and laugh and play. But when we have a work to do that has to do with Nigeria, it is a no-holds barred. I don't take hostages. I go full swing. And I'm glad you also see that my big sis and Iyabo Awokoya does not take hostages as well. That is who we are. That is how we run. That is Nigeria that runs in us. Okay. Let me tackle the issue of economic situation of the country. How do you want to build your economy when we have contagion container economist. When you believe that your business is solely importation, and whereas some of these things you import can actually be produced locally. We have thick forests where we can get good wood to produce toothpicks. But we have Peter Obi, who is importing everything, even to toothpick, into his stores. And you don't think that will affect the strength of our local currency, Naira? And you don't think that will deplete our foreign reserves as well? No country leaves its currency to float. Because when you allow your currency to float, it's as good as the Zimbabwean dollar, whatever they call it. It becomes trash. When we are talking about economic development starts with you and I. And the economic development we are saying, the Nigerian economic system is more of informal sector. You have people in Awokoya. How many of them are registered as businesses paying taxation? How many of the people in Aspanda, Alaba market, are paying taxes, are registered as business entities? Some of us live abroad. We know you cannot open anything without being fully registered and without paying taxes. I'm an employee of labor, to the glory of God. I pay 3 different types of taxation here in Canada. I pay my own personal income tax for my own income. I pay business income tax. That is revenue generated by my business. And I also pay the GST, what you call VAT, in Nigeria. I also pay that. And I'll give you an instance. There was a year, 3 years ago, I did not declare $120 in my personal income tax filing. And the government of Canada fined me $650 for that. I've tweeted this many times. And the good thing about the system is so that I have nobody to go and plead with. Everything is done electronically. The acceptance is done electronically and the result is sent to you. But if that happens in Nigeria, you say they want to kill you. That is unpatriotic. Now you have a better understanding of what it is to be unpatriotic. And if you are not paying taxes and you are enjoying the benefit of the infrastructure that the government is producing without your contribution, and you are still running the government down, then you are ungrateful because you are not contributing anything to the Commonwealth. You are a grabber, nothing more. So let's settle that. So I've been able to take care of the issue of foreign exchange, foreign reserves, and the economy, unemployment. But as long as we focus more on the informal sector that is not developing beyond brotherhood, we know that the informal economic sector is based on brotherhood, where I put my cousin, my sibling, or this person in charge of things for me, and I pay him what I feel like. So that simply means I have not employed him officially. I'm not paying him the salary due to him as my worker. I see him as, let me put it this way, as a house help, as a shop attendant. So how are you going to build wealth in such instance? We need to be very logical when we are trying to bring things out. Some of us, it's not just because I'm abroad. I'm not feeling entitled. Rather, I'm feeling disgusted because I know I cannot take the system for granted in this part of the world. I can't get away with it. But we talk about the system that does not work because we don't make the system to work. We are the people who actually sidetrack everything. A system does not work itself. When government make policies, people will drive the policies. But we are the ones who actually truncate and try to find problems to have a smooth running system. And how do you want a system that works, but you're not ready to put in the work? What are you going to have? and you continue to do the same thing, same way, but expecting a different result. No, did you do that? Come on, please, cut me some slacks. Let's give me a break. Well, and I'll go back to on the issue with insecurity and unemployment. Nigerians are actually causing a lot of unemployment. There's something we don't know that imparts investment confidence. It is called Investors Perception Index. The Investors Perception Index is not a function of what the government is doing or what the government is not doing right. Because investors know that with their investment with government, there are always ways to go around things that government always accord them some concessions. But the Investors Perception Index is predicated on your views, on your opinions that we carelessly throw around on social media. When a company is moving to Nigeria and it's publicized, the next thing you see Nigerians talking about is, hey, they are not going to last in this country. They are going to destroy you. They are going to finish you. But when it goes to a neighboring country, they begin to celebrate. What kind of people are we? You are chasing employment away and you are shouting unemployment. Where is the employment going to come from? We need to build the life. We need to search ourselves inward. Our hypocrisy stink. The reality is very far from each and every one of us, because we like to talk without putting things in perspective, and for as long as we do that, we always get it wrong. It is easy for us to blame everybody else for our problems and not actually searching ourselves. So that is one of the things. When you understand Investors Perception Index and what brings investment into your country, maybe you begin to act more responsibly. And this is not in particular to anybody. I'm talking about general, all of us. Maybe we begin to reason differently. Maybe we begin to project differently. There are many businesses that should be coming to Nigeria, but we are killing investors' confidence. It is not the government that is killing investors' confidence. It is you and I. It is you and I. They will kidnap you. They will do this, they will do that. I posted a link showing that this year alone, America has had 22,000 deaths resulting from gun violence. Has anybody said America is a failed state? Has anybody opined that America is insecure? So far as at July, America has had cases of 322 mass shootings. 322 mass shootings, not the regular ones on the street between gangs. We're talking about mass shootings. And when we're talking about mass shooting is when a gunman goes into a public place and begins to shoot. We are not talking about gang violence. This is mass shooting alone. And as a result of mass shooting, 22 people have died. 22,000 people have died. Have we recorded that in Nigeria? May we never get to that level. Amen. And you're telling me Nigeria is insecure. Do you think the international media is projecting their country the way you're projecting your country? No! They let you see what the good part they want you to see. You don't see their rot. Some of us live in this part of the world, we see the rot every day. So don't begin to tell us where you sit down in your local armchair what is happening abroad when you are sitting down right there in Ibadan or you are sitting down in Ede and you are telling me about Canada, you are telling me about America. I just got back from New York last week Sunday, and I can conveniently tell you that New York, as big as it is a glorified ghetto. New York is a glorified ghetto. I'm telling you. The only difference between New York and Lagos Island is wealth. They are the businesses in New York. When they talk about Manhattan, what is there in Manhattan? Skyscrapers. Trust me, when they tell you, oh, there is a 5-star hotel in Manhattan, let me tell you, that Manhattan hotel is garbage. Where you spend $500 per night for rubbish. And you come here to pontificate what you don't know when you have not done your research, when you have not gotten your fact rights. Come on, give me a break. Your views is as far as you can see or as far as you research. You cannot have a smartphone, you're not engaging your smartphone for research, and you're pontificating with me. No! I'll put it to you when we're talking about education. May we never have Nigerian educational system commercialized like it is in the abroad. So they can attest to this now. Mr. Awokoya can attest to this. So then your sister, my wife, that is your sister, you know yourselves. Don't annoy me. She graduated, she did economics from LASSI. And by the time we came to Canada, she decided to change to nursing. 3-year nursing course, she incurred a debt of $110,000 dollars in student loans. $110,000 in 3 years for a 3-year course, student loan. So then, between you and I, how did we pay off this loan? The first time we paid the bulk sum of $48,000 in 2017 was when we financed our property. Then sometime again in 2019, we put some bulk money together to pay another set of $30,000 again. Just this year, the balance of about $60,000 because there is interest. There is interest. The bulk of the remaining $60,000 we paid it this year, and she has graduated almost 10 years ago, my brother. And we are just free of the debts this year May. We just became free of the student's loan this year May. There are so many who are still carrying that burden. And she did not pay foreign student fee. She paid local students because she's a citizen. So imagine what a foreign student is paying. And you're telling me that Nigeria is not doing anything for you? Please, I know some of you have gone to church today, but if you are still a Muslim and you are still going to have your salat at prayer at some point, ask for forgiveness. Do astaghfirullah like 21 times. Seriously speaking, do astaghfirullah like 21 times. Because you know how these things work. The healthcare you're talking about, do you know the setup of the system? There's what is called health insurance. I have health insurance that I pay into every month, that gives me seemingly free Medicare. It is not free. In America, healthcare is 100% commercialized. 100%. My younger brother's wife went to the emergency. She was having some pain in her head, this and that. She now went to the emergency. She called the ambulance. The ambulance took her there. The ambulance ride is not free. It's $60. By calling the ambulance, it's not free. But ambulatory in Lagos is free. You are not paying for it. And Lagos is about the only state in Nigeria that has free ambulatory services. And she was at the emergency for 5 good hours. She did not see a doctor. Nobody attended to her. Do you know what? Just because they are done the triaging and the documentation and everything while she was still waiting, in anger she went back home and they sent her a bill of $1,000.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
They sent her a bill of $1,000. What are we saying?
Okay, this is what I was thinking.
Before Paula decides to use up all the time, I just wanted to make a few other comments. Just when we have this opportunity to speak to people, I always like to use it as an opportunity to actually say some of the things that a lot of people don't know. Somebody made a comment that what of healthcare and everything. And I'd like to say that primary healthcare belongs to the local government and states. If you are in Lagos State, you will know that Lagos State has over 50 or 100 primary healthcare centers. When I turned 60, I remember that we all got our vaccines, the COVID vaccines, at primary health centers, and I remember that they had doctors there. So when I turned 60 and my health insurance said I couldn't use the normal one of 100,000 I had been paying by annum, and that I had to go, and the cheapest they were going to give me was like about 300 and something. I said, what's all this nonsense? The Lagos State at 60, I'm a senior citizen. I qualify for free health. So I went to the health center of Adebayo Jones where we stay, and I went there and I got registered. Not a penny was taken from me. They only asked me for 120 naira to pay for a file that they didn't have. And I said I wanted to see the doctor. Nothing was wrong with me. I just needed somewhere. And I saw a fantastic, pretty lady, young, qualified. So in my typical way, since I'm a researcher, I started asking her questions. How long are you here for? She said every day from 8 o'clock to 6 p.m. And that that in every local government, there are about 2 places where it is 24 hours. So if you are being treated at Adebayo Jones and your case is something that needs to be watched overnight, they will use their own ambulance to take you to Anifowoshe, which is the 24-hour center. And she even said that it was better for people to come to the health center and get a referral to general hospitals and not just go to the jail. So it works like the British system where you have a GP and the GP sends you to hospital where you need it. But a lot of people don't know. So you have people going into the private sectors to go and pay a lot of money. Meanwhile, and Nigerians are generally impatient. The same thing you say you don't want to wait in Nigeria. If you are GP, your surgeries are not scheduled sometimes until 2 years. My daughter is a doctor in England, so I know what I'm talking about. And she tells me all the problems they have in their system there, where people come. The same complaints we have here of people waiting so long in hospitals for treatment and the rest of it is like that everywhere in the world. But we don't even know. Nigerians take their children to private primary schools and pay more than what they're even paying in universities. Average primary school for the low class people is about 30 to 50,000 per term. For the high class people, it ranges up to 2 million per annum, 3 million. And for the top ones, secondary schools for the poor people are between 150 to 200,000. Secondary people for the top go up to 4 million. So when you are able to pay all these things in your private primary school, how do you want government secondary schools to develop? Because you now leave only the people that will not complain to the government institutions. Meanwhile, if all of us had our children in the government institutions like we did, we are all products of government. I went to St. Louis, Ibadan. It was a Catholic school, but it was being controlled also by government. And I went to University of Ife, not Obafemi Awolowo, University of Ife, and it was all government school. Most of us were educated in the public sector. So why is it now that suddenly we find that the public sector is so terrible that even drivers will say they are not taking their children to government primary school, government secondary schools? If a lot of us go and get involved in governance, like I always say, attend the PTAs, then we will force standards to improve. So Lagos state government and all the other state governments will be doing a lot better. But we, the citizens, keep destroying what little they are doing with bad mouthing and the rest of it. I have heard somebody write on this place that Ogun State has so many potholes. I've just finished a consultancy job with Ogun State, and I have been so impressed by Ogun State, so very impressed by a lot of the things Ogun State is doing now that were not done in the past, that to me, it will be a sad thing if they do not allow this trajectory to continue and people are just based on what some social media people are talking. Ogun State is another state that is now almost moving, wanting to rival Lagos State in the way they are developing, and they are attracting a lot of foreign development. So we all just need to get involved in our local politics and stop just pontificating online about federal government. Federal government does not impact my life the way the state government impacts my life. I live in Lagos State. I live in Ikeja local government. Lagos State government impacts me more than Abuja. Abuja doesn't do much for me. So I think most people should start to interact interrogate their governors. Let the governorship elections and the local government chairman elections be very, very keenly contested with good sort, and let the youth go and occupy the local government. Let us start to train successors. A lot of our children want to do things, but they don't. Nobody is even teaching them how to go about this. We need to let them actually be taking some tutelage. That's one of the things APC should be doing. A lot of the youth in APC will join the party if they know that there's a succession planning for them, so that you start putting them in local government, they start learning the ropes. That is how we deal with building up leaders. Right now we just have angry people, and I think a lot of us should just try. We owe ourselves this thing about getting knowledge. We really do owe ourselves. We need to get some more information about things. I've sent the document on some of the things that Buhari has done. I've sent it to a few people who have asked for it. I'll send it to the convener. But there's so much that we can learn from even just Googling. Once somebody tells you a story and you say, let me Google it to even find out. This government has done so much on even policy, on laws. Look at the PIB, Petroleum Industry Bill, that has been finally passed into Petroleum Industry Act. A lot of us do not know that from once Buhari leaves there, NNPC is going to fully go commercial. It's Buhari that is being having pity on the people that is continue with this subsidy. People still don't even understand the question of subsidy. They don't know that the subsidy in the regime of the PDP is not the subsidy that they're doing now. In the regime of the PDP, oil marketers were the ones importing petrol. All the oil marketers were the ones importing on behalf of government. Then they will tell government that we have brought in 100 million liters. Meanwhile, they only brought maybe 50 million liters. And they will now invoice the federal government for 100 million liters. Meanwhile, they have bribed each other. Only 50 million will be put in the silos, the tank farms. And government was paying all this extra money for roads. A few people have been prosecuted and jailed on that point for stealing. But a lot of people don't know. So they will say subsidy that he said he's not doing. Then NNPC, the president of NNPC now took over the importation of petrol. So oil marketers are no longer importing. So they are not able to steal that petrol the way they were doing it before. So right now it's NNPC that imports, and all the marketers do is to go and transport around. So what we are doing now is federal government is paying NNPC for the fuel. NNPC is supplying to the country at reduced price. That is now the subsidy regime now, not the old subsidy that used to be stolen. And a lot of people will say diesel is high, kerosene is high. These were already deregulated almost 10 years ago, not by Buhari. A lot of us that use diesel, we've been buying diesel at expensive prices, and we're still the ones suffering. Meanwhile, diesel and all those things, petrol is being subsidized more in favor of the rich than the poor. You should all calculate how much petrol you use in your car regularly per week, and then look at the original price it should be. It is that simple. If petrol is supposed to now be at 700 and you buy 50 liters or 100 liters per week, and you are buying it at 200, let's even say 200 for easy arithmetic, government is paying 500 on your behalf. So all of us are benefiting from this subsidy. And then somebody said they are not feeling once the masses is not feeling. When have the masses ever felt good in economics? Why do we have masses? From time immemorial, there will always be people that the economy will affect, either because they did not study, they didn't take themselves outside that bracket, and then we like to waste everything in Nigeria. The poor do every single thing that the rich people do. When you have your own parties, the poor will have their own parties. When you call your own big musicians and Davido and the rest, the poor will call their own Fuji. Everybody does the same thing. We all wear the same anko. So we all suffer from the same problems of waste. What is the problem? If I I keep on saying this. I can afford to eat rice, but I'm not going to now die and keep crying about rice. And if you tell me garri is expensive, yes, it is expensive. I will bear it. There are some things you have to just give up if all of us want this nation to improve. We can't expect to have our cake and eat it. When Japan wanted its nation to be good, they suffered. China suffers. A lot of them wear singlets. When you see Chinese in Nigeria, when have you seen them come agbada kiri? They will be wearing singlets. Nigerians will want to wear agbada to work, wear the best of uniform, and they want to be rich. What is it about us? So the masses cannot quickly feel the impact of economic policies. That's why it is called an impact assessment. In development consulting, we don't do an impact assessment until sometimes 3, 4, 5 years after the project has been executed, because that's when you see impact. Impact does not trigger immediately a policy comes in. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Of course, I'm still going to be by another 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Just a quick one. Before you do that, just a quick one. I just want to add to the issue of fuel subsidy in Nigeria. How many people are aware that America is the best subsidizing its petrol at the pump? Because at the time, people forget that COVID affected the entire world and changed the economic dynamics across the globe. And with that comes hunger at the highest level. Because for 2 years, there were no harvests in the farms. There were no planting as well. And you think there will be food surplus, there will be food supply across the globe? Let us put on our thinking caps and begin to be reflective and begin to put things in proper perspective. Today, I was in the US in May. As at that time, fuel per gallon was being sold for $4.79. Joe Biden started appealing and shouting and screaming, begging. Today, as at my last visit last Sunday that I just got back from, fuel in America per gallon is selling for $3.25. So American government is now subsidizing it. Even the same thing as Canada. But these are the people that will tell you, remove subsidy, remove this, remove that, so that your people will descend on you to say your country is not working, your country is failing, but they have a way of padding things up within their own system. And your own government is doing that for you, yet you still say you're not doing enough. From time immemorial, we've always had the poor amongst us, and I'm one of them. And even in the days of Jesus Christ, we have the poor. That is not good. That reality is not going to change. But the thing is, we need to change our habits. Nigerians are unnecessarily flamboyant and competitive. We need to be economical in everything we do. You are not flamboyant today. You know your bills. You know your bills are not going to go away. You know there is nobody you are going to appeal to concerning your bills. You don't take your bills for granted. You don't take your credit rating for granted. Yet, minimum wage. Yeah, minimum wage. That even $14 on state, not all over the place. But in Nigeria, we hold our landlords and we forget that the landlord also has children he's going to feed. We have electricity from our neighbor, forgetting that we are putting our burden on our neighbor. Come on, give me a break.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mrs. Awokoya. We will definitely have to bring you back. That's a cliche. That's a phrase, a sentence you hear all the time anyway. But usually we always believe. I think the same repeat again and again. We always believe that somehow we can cover certain topics. We need just one webinar, but it always comes outside a lot of times that we just go deeper into them. We realize we've not touched on quite a lot of issues. We've not talked about the judiciary. We've not talked about the educational system. There are quite a lot of things, and we've not even. Of course, it's as Awokoya make mention just in passing about the bills. If I was looking at because Because Tolu Ogule is the president on new media, and of course Bashir as well. It is normal on regular basis whenever I know what bills the president has signed, because these are things that impact on me, that impact on the citizens directly. And I think last week he actually reeled out quite a lot. I reeled out the institutionalization of the this pipeline program, quite a lot of things, and I really want to encourage our members and all those who are watching this out there, whether you're partisan, whether you support PDP, APC, Labour Party, it doesn't matter. At least those are the spokespeople of the government, and they give you direct from the horse's mouth. And so you see, once the decides, then all the communicate everything, then they break it down. I love to know race, always breaks it down. You can go ahead and disagree with him, but please read up. So I'm just going to read all these, and then I subject to give the vote of thanks because of our time, and we'll be speaking with, and believing that hopefully we can get Adebayo and Mrs. Awokoya back, hopefully within the next 3 or 4 weeks or thereabouts, depending on, I know they're really busy people. So let me read this comment. Now let's start from Fawehinmi. In a sane and working environment, both APC and PDP do not have a justification for campaigning to govern our nation again. PDP messed us after 7 years of governance, and APC further disappointed despite the promises and confidence placed in them in 2015-2015. A step forward and a few backwards. None of both parties has moral and practical justification to aspire to governance. We're only left to choose between the two devils based on the popular political system in our nation. They're not just two, they're multiple parties. There's one console, there's SSP, there's everything. So I believe people should be free to make their choices depending on your conviction of how practicable they are. And of course, I think this was responding to those who said Ogun State as some of the best roads, and I think Awokoya did make mention of that when she spoke as well. He mentioned Akute, Ota, Okeawo, Matogun, Agbado, etc. as places with very bad roads, and of course we always mention Agbara as well. Then Adebayo Adedosu, in a sane society, some citizens are seen as a problem on the system. You are free to canvass support for your candidate without being offensive. Absolutely. Then Secretary, you're correct. When you go to CH, you can count the number of doctors left. Nigerians complain a lot, and one can only encourage them, they will be fine. Until our feedbacks and convictions of those governance indices stated above with facts and figures, I don't look. I believe that Adebayo Adedosu and Awokoya have had to cover quite a lot of them, but obviously the time is limited. So when we come back by the grace of God, we'll try to cover as much of this as possible. Then thank you so much, Awokoya. So in English that means may you go to a ripe old age. I say amen to that. Thank you, Bola Okutubo. Then if you send your email address privately if you want the 73-page document. I like the achievements of this government. No time arguing. I love that kind of no time arguing. So I sent my email down there, my official organization email, so I can also forward it to our members. When you have a smartphone and data, you used to do some research independently. As you see it being a tertiary institution before, as this become being a tertiary institution because doctors left. Doctors have been going to Saudi while I was growing up in Ibadan. Whoever wants to leave Nigeria should do so and stop cursing Nigeria. That's all I would assure. Just as you would ask Nigerian universities have stopped being tertiary institutions because of our strike. Then, of course, the email sent the documents here. Then, can you please fees they pay abroad? Why are you so afraid of us? This is another bit, of course, we'll cover when we have Professor Adebayo Adedosu Dr. Adebayo a few weeks ago, and we had of professors from all over the world from to discuss that. Still put that question in Awokoya as well. If you commercialize our universities, how many will be able to afford the fees? That's Fawehinmi. TJ, that's I believe, taking great lessons right there. Both speakers have done not justice on the topic under review. Respect. Thank you so much for that. I'm sure the speakers are very happy to have that comment. Then thank you to our speakers. God bless you. You have done well. Thank you so much for that as well. I want to share documents, but someone is already asking what the effects are. It is obvious some people are ever fixated on the negatives. Obviously, these are all the narratives. You have the for and against, and this is part of it. Please just go ahead and send it all the same. Mrs. Awokoya, to narrow I've sent document. Okay, that. TJ, I can confirm without missing words that there is tremendous improvement on electricity supply from Oshogbo precisely. Thank you so much. That TJ posted a link on Nigeria's GDP goals. I believe in quarter 2 2022. So the link is please make use of it, everyone. Nigeria's GDP by 3.4% last quarter. Higher than many world powers. USA growth was less than 1%. Our stock market is the fourth best in the world as of now. Nigeria is the largest rice producer in Africa. You will say that it is expensive, yes, because of our middlemen. Lagos government is trying to address that by setting up commodities bulk purchase. Thanks for seeing the document. God bless you. Thank you for that. Right for time we always enjoy electricity during rainy season, right from 2011. I could remember 2011, my life was almost so he actually attributing the improvement in electricity to the rainy season. So obviously, like once the season is gone, the darkness will be back. Thank you, Ayole, for your views. And of course, send the documents to this. I don't despise them. Thank you, Awokoya. Thank you, sir. People have no reason to be angry. However, I agree with some of the submissions of Mrs. Awokoya and Mr. Adebayo Adedosu. Brilliant articulation, but people have reasons to be angry. You're actually better than Shehu. Okay, so you're saying that it's better than Shehu. So good president London his image. Okay, thank you so much. Our coordinator, I paid the address so that we don't buy it on night price, because if I got right, I went price yesterday was 28,000. I like that. He did not write the one I went to buy, the one I went to price. So he went to check the price. And okay, said that was 28,000. Wow, that's the minimum wage of many people. And honestly, I saw that through. It was at the point where Bayo was talking about the $110,000. That is why we got. And thanks for sharing that 10 years ago, graduated, I believe, and you're saying you've only just paid off the debt this year. And some will still be carrying that. Thanks for sharing that, because why am I saying that? It's a reality check for many. Canada is one of the choicest destinations for many of our people. So when they see things, when they hear things like this, it helps them to prepare better. Hopefully one day we will call you to tell us about life and getting jobs and everything in Canada, because we've had about 2 of our members located in the last week there, and we're having more looking to go. Thank you so much. Then thank you, Comrade Oladebayo. Nigeria is more secure and comfortable compared to America and other 5 parts of the world. Nigeria is working in many fronts. Citizens only feel to acknowledge the bereft of information. Thank you for the insight and education. Let Nigerians travel and relocate abroad. That's when they know reality. You pay for everything: light, gas, water, health services. No system is actually perfect in an absolute sense, but some are better than others. That your mechanic that you pay 2K or less, you pay hourly abroad. Thank you so much. That's subjective. So then gas. I don't know the initial stand. Thank you for joining us, guys. I've seen, even despite the network issues, I've seen that person still make an effort to come back in multiple times. Guys, we really appreciate you. Interesting. The Barrister Road, a 7-kilogram bag of rice in Canada is $18. Convert that I've advocated for Alipay system from our monkey pay system. All the redundancies we do work change over time. You want based on the hours you put to work. Then the system is no work, no pay. Nigeria workers catch the systems and come online to still cost the same government. Many masses there can make $18 daily. So how many can make 28,000 naira a day in Nigeria? Thank you so much for sharing. I love all these views. Like we said earlier, that's those. Then Road, resume work late, leave work early, and get good salary. Obviously trying to describe the majority the Nigerian worker mentality. Of course, we know Nigerian workers are very hardworking, but there will also be bad eggs as usual in any system. Some of us know that we for radio level in Lagos State. Do we know that those who work in structured private sectors pay up to 600k or 700k annually? Do we know that some of us buy consumables and items from structured business outfits VAT on our items? Do we know that we pay 50 naira for inflows of 10k and above received into our accounts to the government? Do we know that merchants are charged for using POS to collect proceeds from their customers? Thanks for saying this. He is a senior banker, so he's making those analogies. I mean, I agree with you, man. Lagos State government, man. Lagos is really working. Thank you. Which radio level you pay? Send your receipts. You know. It's up to you. Then that's again. Just a few comments. Buhari's legacy is assured. I actually do not argue about PMB's government because it's a waste of time. I've summarized PMB's challenge simply as a tyranny of expectations. Development is never a dash but a marathon. We will continue the incremental progress with BAT. Obviously, that's BAT wins there. Many others that is competing with. Thank you, guys, for that incisive take. Then I live in Surulere, and a businessman who pays tax and avoid your kind of radio level. So I think two of you might want to take the radio level out there, you know, after this forum, and maybe the next time we're having this, then you give us confirmations. Then I'll send it on the platform that you after this session. Thank you. And you challenge, kindly post the receipt. Thanks. Then please do not talk about what you don't know about PLIDE. There's been quite a lot of PLIDE issue and PLIDE. You know, it's been interesting. There is huge unemployment here in Canada. Minimum wage is $16 an hour. Let me educate you. My car insurance is $424. Internet $125. Internet cable TV is $325. Cell phone is $65. I believe that's the airtime, not the phone itself. I can recall many people go to food banks for food. People that you think are doing well. I believe I've seen that as well around there as well, you know. Do you know how many hours you work in Nigeria? How much will you make work for such hours abroad? Let's be sincere in analysis. These people, let me see what I can read about the next 3 minutes because we've got to end this episode. We've got to end this by 8:30. We can't go beyond that. Most Nigerians are lazy. They don't read well. So you're basically like lazy Nigerians. You're saying most Nigerians are lazy. Gas also 2023. BAT that's Tinubu. Head and shoulders above Atiku and Obi. That's from gas. Then Nigerians do not challenge the labor law. Whose fault that's responding to Ayele. NNPC is fully commercialized and no free money for pocket businessmen. Money for all marketers. All marketers now are filling stations because of its policy. PDP failed us then, and that's why Nigerians supported Buhari. If you bring in diesel, PMS and kerosene, you must have filling stations to sell. That's when we started seeing aging. I mean, apparently referring to maybe some fake oil dealers, aging petrochem etc. If we then someone massive $18,000 abroad, please comment such as this make me laugh. You see the issue of law is already being exposed effortlessly here. Then God bless you, man. And if the minimum wage is even $14 for starters, and you shock people on the average $17 per hour. I mean, people with engineering degrees and sometimes postgraduate degrees. Some have lost their jobs to rising inflation, and the Canadian government just hiked interest rates for the fifth time this year. The entire world is feeling this pain of global meltdown. People in UK are protesting the deductions for pensions from their salaries because the salaries are no longer enough. The people who earn $8 an hour should come and tell us the overhead they carry every month from house rent, hydro, water, heating, winter is coming, car insurance, cable TV, phone bills, groceries, tickets, when you break any traffic rule or illegal parking, money to be sent to. And I like, thank you so much, Chief, for mentioning this, because a few weeks ago we had someone whom we have never really heard of, other than working in a Rise TV, broke traffic law, drove on a BRT lane, and then even threatened the police, pressing, I will report you to the governor and everything. And of course, it was such a shame when I saw social media supporting that. I love the fact that we get it. If you leave abroad, break any traffic rule, if you have done that, assaulting a police person, if you are still on your way to permanent residency, there's every chance that you might be deported because of that. They will cancel you go to jail, serve your sentence, and deport you straight from there. So I think we should stop supporting illegality in our country. And it was right that eventually, after much pressure, he apologized. So many still rely on banks to balance. If abroad are sincere, you will realize it's not as golden as they paint it. Getting the minimum wage job abroad is another story. Most minimum wage jobs are what people back home in Nigeria want to do. Ask anyone who wants to survive labor jobs abroad, in Canada, in the US. Fawehinmi should ask for the documents and we shall definitely send you the document. I think I sent the documents to everyone requested. They don't have it yet. Please resend. I think they're just about 7 months, so I can finish it. I got the document and thanks for sharing. Thanks, please remember to share the document, please. If you've not sent it to Olaji, please can you send to him as well. Let me share this here. I wanted to go for my MBA abroad. My school fees is $30,000. £30,000. That's a lot. Maybe brother, you go for a cheaper one. The MBAs cost $18,000 and thereabouts. So then Lukman, please help us bring the guest back here, especially. I like this beat. Look at I'm gonna read this so that make a bit of fun of it. He said, please sir, help us bring back the speakers, especially Barrister Awokoya. And he did not mention that because they've had a running back to all day. But don't worry, some of them are coming back. I know. If he says she missed your email address, I suppose if he's a lady, it's just informal lady, I believe. So please send your email while it's posted there. And then University. But then they strike all the time. So you pay for something and you lose something. You don't want me back. I remember a discussion from civil servant background. Okay. Then Canada is more underemployment, just like Lagos. No unemployment. And Adebayo, can you touch on that next time? This question is what I see a lot that people argue and give different meanings to social media. Underemployment versus unemployment, which one applies, just like Oladeji wrote it. And of course, I said, Adebayo, you are our friend. TJ, Tijani Fatai, you show must come back, sir, and man. This has really opened a lot. I'm surely form a great part of my radio program on Tuesday. He actually has a radio program on State Radio Broadcasting Corporation every Tuesday. So he said he wants to use your discussion, the things you have said today as part of what he talks about on Tuesday. And then unemployment, not underemployment. So that's a disagreement slightly from Bayo. Then if I've said that. I live in Canada and I can tell you that underemployment. So there's another argument around that. Then if I hear you all the time. Oh my God, apologies. You know, I just assume when you used to being former. You know, thank you so much for your thanks for joining us. Then TJ, that's your email. Your email. It depends on the sector you're looking at. There is no underemployment in IT. And Olawale replied, these has nothing to do with sector. Thank you so much. I was able to read all those messages. Okay, I'll tell that will be the last because we need to close the show now. We are actually overrunning already. Adebayo Adedosu, you cannot use underemployment in a blanket way. You are generalizing and if you are not a professional working in social service, that's underemployment. I like that angle. We'll take that on, but I'm hoping that we can escape this before any message comes in because I believe we should not be reading anything again. Can I call on a section? Please, can you just give us a photo of thanks? Do you have the right skills for the job? That's what the question is asking Oladeji.
Just quickly, I'll take Oladeji offline. Connect. I want to connect with him.
Okay. Thank you.
Our contacts.
Okay, can you post your phone number or something? Or you can post it directly to Bayo, or you can post it in the chat generally, whichever one you're comfortable with. We need to go down now.
It's Mr. Social Services.
Okay, so sure. So just send it in the chat to him directly or to everybody, depends on you. And that let me call you.
Just before we wrap up, I want you to recognize, you're in Saskatchewan, you're in Regina, no wonder you're behaving like that.
Okay.
Yes, just to recognize Ife. Ife is not Ife, her name is Ifelua. She's actually the Oladeji, don't worry. She's actually the convener. She's actually the convener of Positive Niger Vibes. And trust me, if you come at her negatively about Nigeria, please, she's going to incinerate you.
Wow. Positive Niger Vibes, right?
Yeah, Positive Niger Vibes on Twitter. She's the convener, and this is what she is passionate about Nigeria. And I can assure you that she has a fact right. Positive Nigeria Vibes, sorry.
Okay. Thank you so much, for saying that. In fact, you already know I don't let opportunities like this slide by. If please, can you send me your phone number directly so that I can interact with you after this? I know I already off fire of this is outside.
Sorry, please, a quick one. I couldn't find a Positive Niger Vibe. Can she add me on Diwali 24?
Okay.
Just share the link, the angle.
Okay. Great. Okay. Thank you. So if you please send the details to me because maybe what I'm planning to do next week we've got some future leaders and little kids are supposed to come on this. You know that campaign for the headship of his primary school and a few others were supposed to have next week. But we can try to Olawa and Ife. Next week I might have to take you because I want to challenge you on some of the things you raised tonight. So while I have your number, I'll get on to you immediately after the show tonight. If you please send details to me, Ify, and then I'll get on to you as well. Ms. Awokoya, you just want to say something in 1 minute. I know you've been quiet there. Before my sergeant gives the vote of thanks and closes. This is Awokoya, just 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't really quiet, just observing everything. And thank you for inviting me. Like I said, it has been I would say it's been an eye-opening experience, really, because I always thought that people were getting better at knowing what is happening, but it does still appear that a lot of people still don't know what is happening in Nigeria. So we will still continue with the advocacy, not on the part of trying to bring any administration to power, but just to let Nigerians know what is happening in their own country, so that we stimulate really with forthright discussions about governance. That's all. So thank you for inviting me, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Barrister. Now, Secretary, could you give us the vote of thanks? Thank you so much. Fawehinmi. Okay, if Fawehinmi is there, can we get your coordinator, Lukman, to give the vote of thanks, or Director of Pigeon Thought? Any one of you, please step in and quickly give the vote of thanks. We need to close. Just unmute yourself.
So
okay, go on. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure. I think there's a connection issue with whoever is trying to do it, and it's not connected. Section as well.
Let me just quickly say that. Thank you very much to the organization for bringing us back. It's long overdue for us to be having this conversation again, because when there is a void, that is when you have alternative information, alternative facts. We need to sensitize ourselves. We need to educate ourselves. Like Mr. Awokoya was saying, this is not about bringing any government to power or bringing any candidates down, but we need that orientation and reorientation for us to be able to make the right choice, for us to be better informed. And when we are better informed, we are better citizens. And the country will be able to run smoothly. Because the honest truth is, a country does not exist in isolation. We are the people. We are the movers and the shakers. And we are also the destroyers and the anarchists, whichever direction we choose to go. Let us continue this conversation. We will always agree, but don't let us be disagreeable. Don't let us be intolerant of each other. Issues like this, cases like this where we are here, there will be tempers will fly here and there, but it's not anything personal. Some of us are just passionate for the moment, and the moment we are done, we are back to status quo of playing and just jiving. Will collect from me after this session. You know, thank you so much.
I will serve you.
Okay. I want to say to Ify, please accept, so, and Ify, please don't forget send me your number directly. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. On behalf of my secretary is not able to give it, and I believe your coordinator, the Pigeon Talk leader, and the other directors, no one is actually quickly stepping in because of our time. We need to quickly end this. So I just want to appreciate you, everyone for being there. It is such a pleasure. I've got a lot of our leaders here. I've got our regional coordinator, Southwest Youth, Alhaji Johnny Fatai, Comrade. He's there. Our deputy provost of the training area. All of you I know have to, but I mentioned other names before. I've got Senator Messi, Senator Messi with us as well. Olabi, Gideon, who is in charge of collating the things we come up from these webinars and making sure they're put in a place when they go up to the newspapers. Hopefully by Tuesday, Wednesday, this should be in the newspapers as a sort of mini communication, so to say. So, Titi Badamosi, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Olawale all the way from Canada. Olawale Mudashiru, our director. Thank you for Ify. We cannot thank you enough. Thank you for joining us tonight. I've mentioned Fawehinmi before. He's the president of West College of Boys and Old Students Association. Luka and Ayoli, thank you so much. Adebayo Adedosu, everybody, and of course we have like about maybe like 12, like 13 others who are coming and have to drop off and have to drop off. God bless you. See you again next week Sunday 6 p.m. Have a fantastic week. God bless you. Bye.
Recording stopped.
Thank you, Jesus.
Hello.
TY, what's up?
It seems I'm the only one. Where is everybody? They should join.
TY, what's up? You know, I so sorry. I just posted a message there. My other meeting overran. I tried my best to end it, but you know what? They were, I apologize. So.
Yeah, I'm asking people to join it now.
Yeah, I thank you so much. Thank you. I saw the way I saw some of your messages. Thanks for holding the fort. I really liked that. Thank you so much. Wow, I think tonight's meeting is gonna be glorious. I'm just hearing very excitable voices already. When Lara, not when she's on this call. When she's in that mood, when she's in that mood. The girl has just won. Tara has won a jackpot now.
Anyway, we're pleased to have you.
Tara, I think Tara eats the jackpot. So we need to know how much did she win. She's sounding so excitable. I need the soap that she used to wash. I know what it is. The guy has now proposed. Tara, he has now proposed. I think that's what it is. He has proposed now. Something like that, Abi. You can see now. Oh. So I'm actually correct, Abi. So I'm actually correct, right? He has proposed finally. To God be the glory. And this is the problem with people who don't talk early enough. Alimsin refused to talk out. You cannot be loving someone. You cannot be loving someone underground. You cannot be loving. You cannot be loving someone underground. And if you don't say it, then you don't say it. Alimsin has missed out now. I mean, Alimsin, so sorry, mate. You missed out on this one. So she's gone now. Alimsin, so sorry, you missed out. Next time, stop loving a girl with your heart at the back and be telling your friends. Tell the girl herself. Finally, now Tara said the guy has proposed, so that's too late now. Yes.
That's I was running for her.
You were running because of what? Yeah, but you should have told Tara yourself. You should have told Tara that this was your desire. Oh, Tunde láti sometimes Tunde Alimsin. Okay, Tunde Alimsin, don't phone me, and Alimsin, don't phone me behind and tell me anything like this again, yeah? Alimsin, oh, so Tayo no tun ṣe sinsin. Oh, now I get it. Now I understand what the problem is. So you will make you also lẹ́yìn pé like Tara, so you were otun lójú of Tayo as well. How can you have it?
Where did I say that?
Hey. Alimsin wá bá bọ̀ ó sọ lẹ́yìn. Alimsin wá bá bọ̀ ó sọ lẹ́yìn. Ó ṣe sọ wájú ẹ̀.
Can we go on with the meeting? Can we have this meeting now? Thank you. Good to see you. Boys. My boss is here too. Yanulua is here too.
Okay.
Let's go on.
Fantastic. Who's that? Well, I don't know why he's not connecting, so he should be here. Someone can ring him behind, but because I have to go on with the meeting right away. So we just want to thank everybody for joining. So we're going to have our opening prayer. Let's get someone entirely. Let's get who is using UI. Who is using UI. Is that Said Fawehinmi?
Yeah.
Okay, Said. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you. Iyanolua, open the meeting for us with a short prayer. Yanu, can you pray for us, please? Okay. Maybe she's at work, she can't talk. So straight away, Tayo, pray for us, please. Tayo, and that was why. Oh, she said she can't talk. That was why I didn't want to call you today. So, but just pray for us today. Amen.
Let's start the meeting.
Tayo, please, always, we take this prayer seriously. I want to have an excellent meeting here. Thank you so much. Okay, I just want to thank everybody. Want to welcome you to this meeting again. It's such a pleasure having everybody here. It's yet another well-attended meeting tonight. And tonight we need to quickly, I'm just going to quickly start because whilst this meeting is on, if it extends as I believe it would past 8:15, 9:15, I would have to jump into, please can we mute ourselves if there's noise in our backgrounds? There's someone's background noisy. So I would have to jump onto the meeting of Auntie Anu and the elders, the plan which I told you about last week. And I'm gonna just quickly give you a brief. I'm gonna start by saying to all of us, we've actually thought having the elders will be the solution to all our problems, to all the issues. I must actually commend this team for being well organized. Trust me, and this is with all due respect to the elders that I've attended this the first meeting with. This group is actually, I think at times we undervalue ourselves, and we always think that the solutions to our problems will come from outside. I attended that meeting last week, and it was as if they just needed Tunde Ocean to talk what can be done, and in fact the whole thing. And of course, I'm talking of, we had a former chief judge of Lagos State there. We had really big publishers, the likes, and of course it was made up of not just CHS alone. There were two participants who were old students of Christ. Was it Christ High School? Ibadan. Obviously, many of us know that was actually Mommy Ogunlesi. Grandma Ogunlesi was also the proprietress for Christ High School. And in fact, the meeting almost broke up at a point where Auntie Anu said she believed the reunion, the 20th anniversary remembrance, will be a kind of closure for the family. And I remember my lord, the chief judge, really raking as much as possible. That I know that, a lot of them feel pained. And I think that was when the meeting had to end. The elderly gentleman, Professor Otubanjo, who was the chair, had to quickly terminate the meeting because it got very heated at that point, where they were really upset that the school was sold. And of course, one of the Christ High School gentlemen said, that everybody needed to concentrate of efforts on the immediate future, whereby maybe the old students will be able to buy back the school from RCCG. But I don't even see RCCG selling that they've got that premises for cheap, and it's a very lovely place just off the main road from Challenge. So basically they were talking about the events coming up, that upper Monday now in Archbishop Fawehinmi Memorial. That's the Ajayi Crowther University endowment, and of course as well the 20th remembrance anniversary of Mommy Ogunlesi, which will be coming up on the 20th of December 2022, which is just 2 days after the end of our reunion. So at the point, I believe they were going along the lines of the old pupils association has to support that event as well financially. But of course, because the chief judge and all the Christ High School people were so angry about so many things, that meeting had to end at that point. So they've scheduled, and I told them, I said 9:30 is a convenient time for me. They fixed it at 8:30 last week. I said there was no way I'll be able to attend. So, but kindly, they were kind enough, they moved it to 9:30. Today somehow I got the notification that it's 9:15, but of course I'll be joining them late because this meeting is of more priority. Of course that one is a priority as well. So that is to brief you. And I know last week there was an issue that was mentioned about the composition of the nominations for. I've not been able to get this person who made the nominations. I apologize to this group. I'm going to have that conversation you sent me, you mandated me to have, to express your reservations. I'm going to have that hopefully tonight or tomorrow. I believe I should be able to reach that person tonight. So I want to apologize on that. And another thing to brief you on before we now go into our conversations, I took on the responsibility of talking to Bayo about the debt he's owing the association. That I believe that's about 60,000 or thereabout. I'll check it again. And he did make a promise. He made a firm promise to me. Eventually he got back to me yesterday, and he said to me that he was assuring me at that point yesterday, but he said he assures that by the end of September that the payment will be made in full. So that's of course that will boost our coffers as well. We need everything we can get, because I believe that this new week, based on your permission, Olani Imudaji should be able to make deposit for the hall and pay children home school, because that was also one of the things that the elders were talking about in their meeting. CHS were like, the elderly former chief judge of Lagos State was like, no, they should not do that. We should not go and disrespect ourselves in that place, go be begging them to use their premises. Little did they know that we had even already but of course I'm going to inform them of this tonight. We'll see what they say. And the reason I'm going to inform them is, could someone there actually say, oh, why did you have to pay? Don't worry, we'll speak with them and we'll see if we can get it free. Maybe not, but even they are, it's not yet, I don't think they've already made that firm agreement on the use of those premises, but that is actually where they want to do that, so that is the brief from me, and of course I will have more to say to you all after tonight's meeting, but I must say again, we've got a lot to be proud of. We look at people out there and we think that once they join us, our problems are solved. They are actually expecting that once we join them, their problems will be solved, and we are more organized. We're really, really far ahead. I say kudos to everyone. Thank you for all you've been doing. So we're just going to start the meeting straight away. I'm going to call on Leko to provide us updates on all the line items, and I like the way these things were absolutely. I agree with you. Was it Tayo that wrote that? Absolutely. But then they communicated it in a letter, but we'll see what we can do. We'll talk. It's still gonna be Tayo, and it's gonna be Mudashiru and Bayo still trying for that angle. You know what? But in the meantime, let's just work on the basis of that 300,000 that they built the association. Because we're going to have a number of events. Number one, we're going to have a tour of the school on Saturday morning. Everybody can go to their old dormitories, old classes, take photos and everything. It comes with a package. That's Children Home School, Molete Ibadan now. RCCG school now. And then we're going to use the field for our novelty football match, that same maybe like midday on Saturday, and of course we're coming back there the following day, which is Sunday, to come and have the reunion Thanksgiving service, which will also be valedictory, so that all of us will go our ways. That was the same venue where our valedictory services were held. You remember those days when the girls would dance and all those things for our valedictory services, so basically that is that. So and I think it was Mudashiru and it is true. I agree, Tayo. Now Mudashiru and Said Folaromi were kind enough. I like the way they listed items on the forum the other day. We'll go through them one by one, but let Lekon give us a brief. What are the developments? Where are we? What items have we moved forward? What items are we still having challenges with? What do we need to do ASAP? Over to you, Lekon.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, it's just a quick one on the update on the hotel. Thanks to Mr. Mudashiru for all the hotels, but we've not finalized on which one we'll definitely be going with. But it's only 3 people that have actually shown interest in booking their hotels through us. And myself, Tara, and Funke, we had a quick conversation on the caterer that we'll be going with. We've got 2 caterers that I spoke with 2. One of them is currently in church, but I'll be following up later tonight with that, and myself and Tara on that one. But why I had to hold on with the Olokbo zone is the fact that I thought of something that we said we need to check in with the house in terms of funding and in terms of reduce